This is the only pure thing in this world.
As Avatar: Fire and Ash approaches, there's really no other way to describe James Cameron's Avatar saga than as a massive, unparalleled success. The first film became the highest-grossing movie of all time, and its sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water, pulled in a staggering $2.2 billion worldwide. To say that expectations for Avatar: Fire and Ash are high would be an understatement. Disney and 20th Century Studios have gone all in with the marketing, hipping up the third chapter of Cameron's planned 5-film epic. With every new trailer, the scale of the Na'vi's war for Pandora grows even more epic and emotional. And yet, despite being part of a $5.2 billion franchise, Fire and Ash faces a major test when it hits theaters on December 19th. The Way of Water, while successful, didn't quite reach the same cultural fever pitch as the original. Now, it's up to Fire and Ash to prove whether this is truly a growing cinematic universe or just a two-hit wonder. At first glance, Fire and Ash looks much like its predecessors. Cameron is back in the director's chair, the same lead cast returns, it takes place on Pandora, and it continues exploring the fragile relationship between the Na'vi and humans. The visual effects once again look spectacular. But that simple comparison ignores something important. Our relationship with these films has changed. The 2009 original wasn't just a movie, it was a moment, a technological breakthrough that redefined 3D cinema and gave audiences a reason to return to theaters. Released at a time when Hollywood was leaning hard on familiar IPs, Avatar felt refreshingly original, a bold, standalone sci-fi experience that connected with audiences worldwide. People still remember what it felt like to see Pandora on the big screen for the first time. Even if Avatar's sequel wasn't as frequently demanded as Marvel or Star Wars entries, its impact was undeniable. 13 years later, when The Way of Water finally arrived, audiences once again showed up in droves. That massive time gap had built anticipation, turning the film's release into an event in itself. The sequel's groundbreaking visual technology helped as well. Cameron's advances in CGI and motion capture made Pandora feel even more alive. Watching it in theaters wasn't optional, it was essential. The emotional depth and visual immersion of The Way of Water cemented Cameron's status as a cinematic innovator once again. The excitement was so high that when the original Avatar was re-released in 2022, it became a box office hit again, earning $76 million worldwide. That re-release not only reignited love for the franchise, but also served as proof that audiences were eager to return to Pandora and see what came next. But this is where Fire and Ash enters very different territory. The long 13-year gap between the first two films built anticipation, but now, the wait is only 3 years. That shorter cycle means audiences have had less time to miss Pandora, and this new film may not feel quite as event-level as before. Some fans might not rush out immediately, or might wait to stream it later. On the other hand, that shorter gap and the possibility that this could be the final Avatar film could also drive interest even higher. Another difference, Fire and Ash was filmed back-to-back with The Way of Water and uses much of the same technology. Cameron has likely refined the visuals, but there won't be the same jaw-dropping leap we saw between the first two films. The CGI will look stunning, but familiar. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but without a major technological leap, one of the series' biggest hooks is missing. So the question becomes, do audiences still want more Avatar? Can Fire and Ash still be the cinematic event of the year? Can it cross the $2 billion mark like its predecessors, or are we starting to see franchise fatigue set in? Those questions became louder last weekend when Disney and 20th Century released The Way of Water with exclusive new footage from Fire and Ash. Despite heavy promotion, it only earned $9.9 million worldwide, a steep drop compared to the 2022 release of the original film. The goal was the same: build buzz, bring fans back to theaters, and generate excitement for the next chapter. But the results suggest interest may be fading. Is it simply because The Way of Water came out just 3 years ago and audiences still remember it vividly? Or does it indicate a deeper fatigue, less nostalgia, less urgency to revisit Pandora so soon? If it's the former, the franchise is safe. But if it's the latter, Cameron could be in trouble. These movies are expensive. The Way of Water reportedly cost around $460 million to produce. They need massive global turnout to break even. If even a fraction of the previous audience skips Fire and Ash, the box office impact could be devastating. That would make it hard for the franchise to maintain its multi-billion-dollar track record. Even Cameron himself has hinted at uncertainty regarding Avatar 4 and 5. He's acknowledged that Fire and Ash must perform exceptionally well for the saga to continue as planned. Its success will determine whether the story moves forward or whether the franchise concludes earlier than expected. In the end, the future of Avatar depends entirely on Fire and Ash. Either it becomes another massive hit, proving that audiences are still hungry for Pandora, or it underperforms, forcing Cameron to wrap his vision to film short of his grand plan. No matter what happens, one thing's certain: the fate of Pandora will soon be decided on December 19th.